Hey guys, RiiZu here bringing you guys a video. I'm going to be bringing you guys a tutorial on how I did my own background. So, you guys can see how this is the layout that I have on my channel right now. So, many of you guys might be wondering kind of how I did this and kind of what I needed to do to achieve this type of logo and kind of just like the whole background in general. So, I'm going to be kind of going through it to the best of my ability, trying to recreate the steps that I did because I did not do a speed art on this. So I've done this style of background for myself, for Nemo TK, the YouTube manager of Team Caliber, A Drive, was also another member of Team Caliber, as well as I did it for the Team Caliber main page, but that has not gone up there yet. I'm trying to wait for some final sponsor changes, and then once that goes through, then I will be able to redo the background and make a new copy to upload. So. First of all, what we need to start off with is we're going to start off with the background that I have here. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of the steps and going back and forth between this and what I've got worked on. So first of all, I'm going to bring on some pictures of the background. The scan lines file I have right here is just the very fine scan lines that are in the background. I honestly do not remember where I found that on my computer, so I just had it here just to be safe, so this whole video is not me trying to find that file. So I'm going to go through, try to find, let's see, I've got some screenshots of Call of Duty here. I will go ahead and bring in I'll just bring in a couple. I don't think it's necessarily important that I have the same exact ones. More so just kind of the whole idea of having them. So I'll have one there. I'll have this guy here. Let's see, that looks good. It's gonna have them more like that. See, I'm gonna flip this just so that way it's kind of all going inward a little bit. So I'm gonna flip it horizontally. Let's see. Does that look weird? Can't tell if that looks weird or not. I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. Maybe try to find a different one. Who knows? And I'll have this for the centerpiece of the background. So have that a little bit like that. Alright, so now I'm going to rasterize all these layers. I'm going to group them. I'm going to name this the background layer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on some layer mask onto all of these. So that way I'm not actually deleting anything, I'm just masking over it. So I'm going to switch to the black brush, kind of make this a little bit bigger. Make sure the hardness is all the way down, and then just kind of blend these in a little bit. I'll even bring the opacity down to 50% just to kind of make it an even smoother blend. It might be a little bit too much, so I'm going to bring that back up. Now let's see for this one. Gonna have it all go to black anyways, so why not? Now we're gonna go do this side. Oop, wrong layer. Gonna go to the top layer, do this side here. And let's see, do I even really need to do stuff to this one? I don't think I do, but so okay, so now I think those are all kind of fairly well blended. So now that I'm comfortable with that, I'm going to go do a gradient map to the top of it. Make it all black and white. Then I'm just going to do kind of like an overlay with that just to kind of make it a little darker. And I'm just going to duplicate that layer because I want that same layer style, but just do it to normal this time. And then bring that out about maybe 50% because I still want those colors in there. I just don't want it completely black and white. And then just to do a photo filter of a kind of like the color theme that I want. Let's see, do I want a blue theme? I think it's just good to kind of have this. And let's see, just kind of mess with the layer styles just to see what looks good. So that looks kind of good. And so I'm noticing that this one here in the center is a little bit different color than the rest of them, so I'm just gonna select it and bring the color balance, bring it a little bit more yellow. Add a little bit of red. Okay, so there we go. Now it blends in a little bit better with the other two photos. See if we need to do anything with the exposure. Bringing the exposure a little bit down, so that way I don't have to fade it, like do a black layer on top. I can just actually just bring the exposure down a little bit. Let's not mess with that one there. So maybe leave the exposure there, like maybe like -1.5. That's good. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good for the background. Let's see, what else do we got? So I'm going to do a little bit of a different color theme for this one. Instead of it just being black and white, I'm going to kind of do like that, a little bit of a color to it, you know? And so now this is where I'm going to put the scan lines. I'm going to bring the scan lines to the top of this. And there we go. Might actually put that below the exposure one. So that looks good, right? Maybe bring those down a little bit. Alright, so now that we got the background all hooked up, I actually do want to, did I do it above that? I want to do a gradient, just so that way the text has something to sit on, and it's a little bit, so I'll bring my guides up. Oop, wrong way. I do want to have one of those. Let's see. So I'll do one of those, and to make a new layer, I want to do a small like radial black on the middle, like that. Or just bring that down a little bit. So now I have these fades here. So now that when I do the text right here in the middle, it'll actually pop a little bit better. So now I'm good with the background. For the next group I'm going to name this one text. And so I will go find my logo. I'll drag it into here. Projects, RiiZu. Here's my logo. Bring that down a little bit. Bring it down a little bit more. Alright, there's my logo. I'm going to rasterize that layer. Got it there. So now all I really do with this logo, you can see a little bit better when I invert it. So if I could just kind of center it in there. Kind of use my... I always use this tool, the marquee, just to kind of see how things even up. So if I just bring this a little bit more that way, it should be good. So, alright, so I got it kind of centered right there in the middle. And so I'm not going to have it as white, I'm actually going to have it as black, because if you see it, this one here, I got the black with the white. It's not, technically it's not a stroke, it's an inner glow. And that's just the way I did it, because the inner glow you can have more effects than you can have with a stroke. So I'm going to invert it again. All I did with this was, I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. So on the logo there, I'm going to add an inner glow. I'm going to do normal. I'm going to do white. Bring the choke all the way up. Opacity up all the way too. And just have it there on 2. And I'm going to do a bevel and emboss. And I'm going to do this. So just to kind of make it look a little bit like it's popping up a little bit. And so now that looks good. I'm going to do an outer glow. Bring this to normal. Make it all black. Outer glow, I kind of like to have this one as the one that just fans out the most. I like to have 2 outer glow, or 2 technically a drop shadow, so I like to have this one just fan out the most. So it starts off here and comes out to like here gradually. And with my drop shadow, I like to make this one kind of like the harsh one that stays close. So I bring the distance all the way down, bring it to normal blend mode. Spread, I bring that a little up. And I like to just leave this, keep the spread maybe around 26, and then the size maybe somewhere around 8, just so that way it's like a really harsh one, but it's not that far. So that looks good for that text. Really similar to this. It'll look better once we get work on it. Now I'm going to work on doing the other text around here, like the follow my Twitter, graphic designer for Team Caliber. So now I'm going to just do regular text layers. Do text. The text I use is hero. Honestly, don't remember where I got that, so I'm going to type in graphic designer for Team Caliber. Bring that down here. Bring the text size down a little bit. And I'll bring the spacing between down. So that looks good. Let's see, what did I have on this one? So I believe all I did was have a little bit of gradient on it, and then just the outer glow. So gradient, I'll do tiny little gradient, outer glow, and drop shadow. So you want to make sure that it see, that looks good. And then with matte or glow, same thing. Just gonna make something a little bit lighter. That looks good. Alright, because I want it to be dark on the back, so that way it's bolded out on top of the RiiZu, so that way it doesn't blend in with the inner glow that I have there on the RiiZu part. So, and then the other part that I did is I did a transform on it. So I did go to transform to warp, and I actually did a bulge, just to kind of make it look like it's wrapping around the text for RiiZu. So there we go. Next I did a Twitter, follow my Twitter. Follow me at RiiZu X. I'll do it on all caps. Follow me at RiiZu X. So now I did this in a little bit different font. I did this in Iris. I'm just going to copy and paste the same layer style. I don't want this one too big because it's not the main part of the banner. I just want it to be there for people to see, but not necessarily for them to be the first thing that they look at. So I got that up there. save it. And then below, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste all my, let's see, where do I find that at? I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste my sponsors because I don't really want to deal with that right now. Pretty much all I did is, for any sponsors that I couldn't find a good kind of a picture of, I had to go through and actually find like a crappy picture of it and just go ahead and mask over it and trace with the pen tool. So I got all my sponsors here and should be good. Alright, so got my sponsors there. Make sure those are centered in. Alright, so let's see, the only thing left to do is work on some flares. So now I'm going to make a new folder above text called flares. Actually, we got this and another thing to do. So I'm going to go to one of my graphics packs that I have. I believe it was the new rated one. Flares. And I use the red flare 4 for anyone who has the same graphics pack as me. I'm going to bring this down. Let's see. I'm going to rasterize this. Get rid of this for a second. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mask this again. And bring the opacity all the way back up again. And then just make this look good. So what I'm doing, I'm just getting rid of those edges so that way I don't see any like kind of big edges when I actually put this in my background here. So that looks good. Bring this to screen. And I actually double up on this. Just to make the intensity a little bit bigger. So I had one up here. And, you know, for the sake of this banner, I think I might actually change the color of this. What's it called? Flare. So I'm going to go up to colorize. I'm going to make kind of like an orangey flare. Orangey yellowish. More like an orange. Bring the saturation down a little bit. So, oh yeah, that looks good. I'm just trying to, I don't want to have like the same theme. So I'm going to duplicate that now that I got it there. I want the flare to be higher on the top than it is on the bottom. So just the intensity a little bit less on the bottom. And then so when I duplicate this again, let me make sure I got these in my flares folder. When I duplicate this again, okay, layers getting mixed up here. So now I got my new one here. I'm gonna make this one smaller. And get this lined up with that white part here on my banner. So that way it looks like it's shining off of the top of that letter there. And then see where else did I have them on here. I had one. So I'm just going to kind of reverse this a little bit. So just kind of resizing these to make it seem like whatever you see fit. Maybe put one more on these letters here. Squeeze it down a little bit. On the top of that G there looks good. And I think that looks nice. Alright, so now I'm just going to duplicate this group and condense the layers so that way So if I ever need to come back and re-edit these layers, I can always open up this folder and work with them. But for now, I just want all those flares as one layer, so that way I can actually just kind of, if I ever needed to, I could just bring down the opacity a little bit and the color of them, in case I decide, hey, they're too bright, or if I want them brighter, or if I want them like no saturation at all, then I can decide that. So for now, I think I actually just want to bring the saturation down just a tiny little bit, as well as the overall saturation for them, or the opacity. Let me see. I'll bring the opacity down maybe 5%. That's all. Actually, what I'm going to do, actually just thinking about this now, I'm going to bring the brightness down, bring the contrast up a little bit, and just bring the brightness down. So I think that looks a lot better. So, just reorganizing this a little bit. Alright, so now I got my flares. The only other thing that I want to do is, this is just kind of what I do for all my banners, any sort of graphics work. I figure if you just finish everything with a bunch of random gradient maps, it looks nice. So, the first thing I actually want to do is I want to put on a grunge texture. So, let me see. Here we go. So, I use that one. So, I use these first two that Rated has, so shout out to Rated for those. So, let me make sure I got these lined up on my banner. So, I just love the way this looks. This is kind of a style that I have, and you just gotta mess with it. So, I doubled up on one of them just to make it a little bit more prominent. And, let's see. Sorry if I'm not doing a really good job of explaining. This is more as a kind of a slower speed art, I suppose. Or just an art without the speed. So hopefully it can still be enjoyable for you guys to watch. Kind of working with you as I do this. I'm just trying to mess with this just to see what I like the best. So a lot of graphic design is just working to see what you find works the nicest for you. So I do notice that my RiiZu right here, my Twitter thing, is getting a little covered up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do layer mask on both of these because I'm not sure which one it is that's covering it up. And I'm just going to so gently go over both of them until I figure out what's covering it up. So I covered that up, one up, and then I'm covering... Okay, so now I can read it better. So, next thing I want to do is put these into the gradient mask folder. Then on top of these ones, just more black and white gradients. I find this one works the best. So I'm going to do a soft light just because I like how that looks. Even if it's not that much work, there's just that little bit of a difference. That little bit of a difference is all that matters to me. Do that photo filter again, but this time do it lighter because all I'm trying to get right now, I already have it on the background, I just want it on the text. And I don't need it that much on the text. I'm going to do a little bit of an exposure one, just to see what that does. And I'm kind of liking it. So you'll find that, I mean, there's not one thing that you can do. I mean, like for most of the time you can tell a person, oh, this needs more contrast, oh, this needs to be reduced in saturation, this has reduced the opacity on this or that. But really a lot of what graphic design is just trying to figure out what looks nice. And even if that's just pushing buttons and figuring out what you need to do, that's up to you, and then slowly, gradually, you find out what works best for you. So, I mean, I could sit here and just tell you what I find best all day long, but really it's up to you what you think is best for yourself. I always like to just play around and see what happens. Might not be the best, but you want the two people that you want to impress are yourself and whoever's you're making it for. That's pretty much it. So I just did a curves and I don't know what that did, but can't tell if I like it or not. This might be done already and I'm just kind of overcooking it, I suppose. But who cares? It's all for fun. So I think I might be done. This is can't think of anything else that I would want to do to it, so let's compare this versus this. First thing I can notice right now is that the text is already a little bit bigger. I obviously didn't use the same pictures. The color scheme is different. The flares are a little bit more prominent in this one. So if I wanted to, I could just bring bring those down a little bit. But who cares? What if I like them? I actually feel like those might be taken away from the text, and the text is the main thing. So what I might do here is actually just bring up, see more of a contrast on that. Can't figure out what I did for the other one. Nope, that wasn't it. Okay, so I don't know if this does anything or not, but at the very end of all my work, I always just try to have it all in one group. I duplicate the group. I merge that group together. Reduce the opacity or just turn off the viewing of the other ones, so that way I got the whole work there. And just once again trying to go over any sort of curves, see if what happens, see if anything changes at all. Just kind of going back and forth. If I like any differences, I keep them. Here's also a good thing, just shadows and highlights. Sometimes things come out more, and you might be able to bring out some of the textures better if you bring the highlights all the way up. Sometimes it isn't doing anything. So you'll never know until you try it. You're probably thinking, wow, this guy sucks. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But you know, it works for me. I have quality work at the end of the day, so it works out. Variations. Let's try what happens if we turn it blue a little bit. Do we like that? No. Here's one that I always like. Doing color balance, just to kind of change things up a little bit. You know, it's a little bit of blue now with the gold. Blue and gold works good together. Maybe throw in a little purple into that. Bring the red back in. So I kind of like how that looks. How does that look? What do you guys think? Before? After? It might even look even better if we have the gray. So let's see. Actually, I feel like it looks good with that blue. So let's see what happens if we do overlay on that. No. Linear lights. What's that? Who knows? Let's just push buttons until it looks good. Do we even need a blend mode? Might not even need a blend mode. Oh, that looks kind of cool. Yeah, I think it would just be best to kind of keep it plain. So, there we go. I brought another copy of the flares up above that, up above the color balance, just to see what it looked like, and I think I kind of like that too. So, yeah. let me know if you guys like this tutorial. If you guys want a copy of this, I will be giving a copy of this background away to one of you guys, whoever it may be. I will be just doing this with someone else's name instead of my name there. And obviously the text will be different, but the same background, flares, and everything. So if you guys like this video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. Make sure to follow me on YouTube, or follow me on Twitter and on YouTube. Once this video gets up to, let's say, 30 likes, once this video gets up to 30 likes, I'll give this background away to someone. Who knows, but you guys have to be following me on Twitter and subscribe to this video and left a comment to enter. So just make sure you guys leave a comment saying I want this background or something like that, and then I'll give it away after I get 30 likes. And I know that's not a big goal, but for the way that this channel's going right now, it's kind of a reasonable goal. So thank you guys for watching this video. My name is RiiZu. I want you guys to have a wonderful day, and above all, stay classy. Oh, also let me know if you guys like these tutorials, because I might do these in the future. Had a lot of fun doing this, even though it's late at night. It's almost 2 a.m. and I'm cracking out a tutorial. So thanks, have a good day, and above all, stay classy. Again,